that I heard yesterday.
All right, folks, here we come. It's time for the grounds with Giles and Jones, brought to you by the amazing, wonderful support of the Fantasy Factory. Fantasy Factory Romantic Boutique, where fantasy becomes reality. Fantasy Factory McHenryIL.com, 815-385-7399. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. How was everybody today? It's Friday, or some people say Fry-yay. Is it a Friday for you or a Fry-yay? Kent, what do you think? What do you think?
When we do what we do, a day's a day. Right? I mean, Friday is another day.
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah. I don't.
They blend together for you too?
My schedule's pretty flexible, so I can do a weekend day on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I guess. But you work for a bank, so you have specific days of the week that you have to be.
But, when you're an entrepreneur.
Well, entrepreneur is a totally different word.
Right.
A totally different life. You're 7 days a week by choice.
By choice.
But the only way I always knew it was a weekend was if my kid was home.
There you
It's like, why is Zachary home? I knew it,
right.
but that was like the reinforcer that, okay, this really is the weekend. So
many people love the weekend because they hate their job. I don't necessarily hate my job, so
yeah, that's and that's sad. That's bothersome. That's the thing we talked about a lot before about culture, like people hating their job. I get that you might not like your job,
right?
But man, it's just a tough one. It's because like if you don't like your job, find something different. But I get the terror, I guess, behind it, paying. But that's the thing. It's
hey, look at all the way from Grapevine, Texas. Don Stevenson, good morning, buddy. We miss you up home here.
Grapevine.
Tim, good morning, pal. How are you?
Are you gonna hear this podcast through the Grapevine, Don?
Hey. Thank you very much.
Wow.
That's
and the
Giles.
Facebook
here all week.
user says,
That's Giles here all week.
Good morning, Facebook user.
Yeah,
That's
good
fantastic.
That's probably Tim. Tim always comes in. Tim Santos on his Facebook.
Yeah. If you guys like comedy, next weekend we have Pat Tomasulo, by the way.
Oh, really? Pat
at
Tomasulo.
McHenry. Yeah,
at the indoor theater.
At the indoor theater. Yeah, he's a comedian. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
He's what, like Channel
That's how
9?
funny he is, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't realize
Channel
he was a
9.
comedian?
Yeah. Well, I don't watch much TV. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't watch much TV. If I do, it has to do with houses, cars, or some reality show that my wife wants to watch.
Yeah. So, how about you? Good week? Loving it?
Good week. Very good week. Family's doing good.
Got to spend a little time with the grandbaby or no?
Got to spend a little time with the grandbaby. Not as much because I got the blessing to go golfing with you last night. That was good, man. I needed that.
That was a good time.
Yeah. That guy time thing. A little bit of break to get out and talk to somebody. And, I hate always using this word, but being normal. Just living life and, being appreciative for the simple things like a nice chip shot.
Oh, right.
So I had a couple of those.
Yeah, you had some good ones. Yeah.
Although
I was better
off
the tee yesterday than I was anywhere else.
Yeah. So you were off the tee and I was putting because I was hitting.
Oh, you were.
I was so close.
You rimmed it every time.
Yeah, every time. But they were long. They were long putts.
I would join you in studio, but in a loud Starbucks. Got our house and moving truck is coming today.
All right,
good for you, man. Fantastic.
Go figure.
Shayna would like you to entertain her.
That's it.
Let them entertain you.
Well, here's the deal. We were talking about this on the cart yesterday.
The course.
Yeah. Well, we were on a golf cart.
Cart. Yeah. Oh, the cart. I thought you said court.
No, on a cart yesterday.
Yep.
And here in the state of Illinois.
Nice.
In the state of Illinois, there's a masked mandate now. The governor has put out that all public schools, the children, teachers, vaccinated, unvaccinated, everybody in those, and if you're at a sporting event or in visiting, you must wear a mask.
Right.
Because of the Delta variant that we talked about last week.
Right.
A big outbreak, right? And you and I started talking a little bit about what is this doing to the kids?
Right. What's the mental status?
Yeah, having to wear a mask all the time. Right. And what does it do to their psyche or their psychological stuff? Right. So
Yeah.
I did a little research.
Okay.
And during April to October in 2020, so we're looking at a good, 4 or 5 months,
Right.
Emergency room visits linked to mental health problems, i.e., anxiety or something of that nature, for children aged 5 to 11 increased by nearly 25%.
I think that's probably a low number.
And increased by 31% for those aged 12 to 17, as compared to the same period in 2019. During the month of June 2020, 25% of persons aged 18 to 24 in the United States reported suicidal ideation. While some of this may be related to the pandemic, we suspect it is largely a function of our response to the pandemic and having to wear a mask.
Well, of course, it has to do with
Right.
response.
Right.
I mean, a lot of shit happens to everybody
Yeah.
in their life, right?
Yep.
It's not if something happens to you.
Yeah.
It's how you react.
Yeah.
What steps you take to better your situation. I mean, you can't stop things from happening in your life. It's how you react to them, what you do when that problem happens. And that's where I think our state is lacking, at least for these kids. How are we helping them? Are we helping them? Are these schools offering, an actual, and I hate to say counselor because that throws a negative, connotation at them, but, someone to talk to. I'd rather prefer to call them like a life coach, talking about life, what happens, what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Derek and I talked a little bit about that on his gun show last night, amongst a lot of things was, how do you start training and, where do we start to stop these mass shootings and understanding? And I said, hey, you had brought up, we got to get psychology into the early years of education. Let them start understanding their brain and how the brain
real
works.
early. Yeah. I mean, I think it should be, I can't actually think of any class that I had when I was growing up that would say anything about
Maybe
this
not.
monster.
You guys did not have psych classes in high school?
No. I'm saying when I'm young,
No.
like when you're in grade school, right? So that's when your brain starts starting to kick and tick, right? They're trying to, and I don't know, they're teaching you, but they're kind of programming you in a way. But no one's talking about when you're doubting yourself that I always call it the third brain, or the third voice in your head, second guessing yourself. They're not telling you about that. That's a, normal thing that you have 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And that, how you decipher them and how you react to them is, kind of how you take care of yourself, if you will, or talking to somebody about them if you don't think they're right.
I mean, a lot of that too has to do with your emotional health as well, your mental and emotional health.
It's huge.
And your well-being. It's huge. Don says he went to a Rangers game Wednesday night. No mask unless you want to wear one. Derek said the laws. Shayna says, Pete, what is the climate in the HR world with all this? I can tell you about that after a bit. Mbonwe, good morning. And Daddy love you peoples. Hey, we love you too, Mbonwe. Thanks for tuning in all the way from Cameroon. Jeff Mockery, good morning, Mr. Kent Jones.
Hey, brother, how are you? Hopefully all's well.
Derek Bear, my question is, who trains the teacher? Poses the question, what is normal?
So then we go into that. We did a little bit, but we go into that and say, okay, you're a 23-year-old, early graduate, and you're teaching psychology to first, second graders. Are you teaching your psychology, or what training? Are you a trained psychologist? Those type of things, right? So, and quote unquote, I see now I'll say, pose the question, what is normal? No. I don't think psychology talks about what is normal, but
they're talking about an abnormal.
Yeah.
What you might view as abnormal.
Right. Or here's some of the things you're going to go through. Right.
Right.
And I don't know, Pete, and I will be surprised if you can pull up that there was a psychology class in middle school where you went and you were taking psychology.
I didn't have it. I went to private schools my entire life, and we were never offered it.
I took psych in high school, and it was one of my most favorite courses. We had psych, intro to psych 101, 102, 103. And I was fortunate enough to have the same psych professor in high school all 4 years, because she was doing her doctoral thesis on test anxiety. And so we were told, every single person in her classes, because we had we had her all of them. And here I digress. I took those at other high schools, but the last 2 years at one, and I got her in the last 2 years. Let me clarify. So, and I got to have her both of those 2 years. Other people had her all 4 years in that same high school, but she was doing her doctoral thesis on test anxiety. And so I was in a class, I was in a group that we were going to have a test every single day, no matter what. It may be over material we covered. It may be over material we did not cover. We were going to have a test every single day. And for me personally, and they were going to be graded and such, but it's like, you may know the answer. You may not know the answer. You may luck out and get the answer right on something, but you're going to take a test every single day. And other groups had tests only once a week. Other groups had tests twice a week, and some groups only over material they had learned, and other groups only over material they had. So for me, it totally eliminated my test anxiety. Like,
right.
Big
well,
one.
and you know the reason
care.
that you said you liked that class?
Yeah.
If you think about that for a second, because it soothed your inner mind, because you were understanding why.
Yeah.
Why? Right. So what's
and
I always say, you question everything,
this.
right? Why?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Well, these kids are thinking the same way, at least in my mind. I don't have any young children, right, that are really suffering from this, but I see it. I just see, in the kids' eyes. I mean, that's how you read someone, deep into someone's soul is through their eyes. But these kids, they're not. I don't think they're understanding it. And I don't know if parents are. I don't know how many. There's a lot of parents out there who were never taught to, about their brain anyway, or about what's going on. So how are they supposed to talk to their kids about it and say, "Hey, I know that you can't see your friends' mouths or anything like that, and it's really weird. Talk to me about it." They don't do that. So these kids, like everyone else, bottle it up. But if they could have an outlet to actually say, hey, this is, I hate to use the word normal again, but this is what typically people go through. And this is some of the ways they deal with it. Not just like right now, it's just shove it underneath the couch or, underneath the carpet.
And Shana, yeah, you're right. The after school specials in the 70s, 80s, these seem to be the closest that I remember addressing mental health. Yeah, absolutely. And they were all so stupid we didn't watch them. Like, oh boy, okay.
Actually,
after school specials. Yeah. I want to watch
some
the
of
Monster movie week.
Right. So actually, it's funny because like you say that one of the things that my son used to watch was called Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah, Zach Morris.
Yeah, Zach Morris, right?
Kelly Kapowski.
Right. Yeah. So if you get past the point of being silly, stupid, right, they are actually throwing out life lessons at you of how they're dealing with like relationship rejection, or bad test scores, or what have you.
And thus, to be honest with you, that's why everybody now goes to social media for their information. That's why everybody goes to social media for the news and education.
Probably
because hey, I taught my kids. I just let the TV raise them, right?
Yeah.
Right. But to step back, just a quick minute is now. They're basically the only psychology classes that are offered are AP.
Really?
And yes, most people are not. Most kids, it's tough class AP. I don't want it unless you have an inkling that you want to go into the psychology profession. You may take that class to find out.
Was actually when I was in high school. That's where I was certain I was headed.
So here's the thing, though. A lot of kids, something like that scares
you went
them.
To psychology.
Right.
Human resource.
Psychology, chemistry. It's like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to take that. It's scary.
And my interest was piqued mostly because my parents put me through so many freaking tests when I was a kid in psychiatric offices and such. But
yeah. So I mean, we weren't all heartless and soulless redheads. We had to figure that out.
Right. But you know what I mean? At least your parents put you through tests. Your parents were observant. Your parents cared enough, I'm assuming, right? Because by doing these things,
they were concerned about my behaviors.
Right. Which a parent should be. If if you're not concerned about your child's behavior, who isn't? Or I mean, who is? But I just don't think that's happening today.
Here's the number one thing.
Good morning, Romy.
here's the number one thing about wearing masks, and this is just, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on the radio. The deal is we are allowing our kids to breathe in their breathed out air,
The carbon dioxide.
all day. Now, this creates oxygen deficiency. What does your brain need the most?
Oxygen.
Right.
To operate and function normally, right? So we're flooding carbon dioxide into these kids all day, and they're oxygen deprived in their brains. Right. So as you take a look at it, and Romy, God bless him, teaches. We know that, right, in the inner city. Romy's an incredible,
It's a very brave
teacher.
Individual.
Yeah, and he's passionate for it. He does a great deal. But now I've got my mind's not working right.
Right, because you're deficient of oxygen.
I'm deficient of oxygen, and now I don't understand why you said what you said, and I can't see your facial expression to go, oh, he's fucking with me right now.
Right, like joking or right.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how
And
much it's seeing a person's mouth, and it sounds kind of weird, but actually seeing a person's mouth
Yeah.
and their expressions on their cheeks and everything in their teeth.
Right.
I mean,
Oh, and that's a thing
it's
I learned.
huge. It's
you
huge
can
because
just-
it's inflection.
if I do this.
Right. I can't tell if you're being honest, if you're tricky. I mean,
You squint your eyes and people think you're
for the
smiling
people,
at
so for the 800,000 people tuning in this morning,
Yeah.
good morning. Pete
Good
actually
morning.
just covered his face.
yeah.
So when I do this,
Oh,
if you're not watching us,
them. I'm
you know.
showing you guys.
yeah. And hey,
Yeah.
and for the 800,000
Yeah.
that are watching
I'm
us right
I'm
now,
providing a visual
Yeah.
on radio.
well, you can
Yeah.
actually go in and
Right.
click the link and actually join in, watch us live.
Absolutely.
You can join us live up to 8 people
Yeah.
if you want to throw in your 2 cents, which we really do appreciate because we're just normal people like you, just trying to figure it out day to day.
Yeah.
We're always looking for, to be
Yeah.
challenged, so to speak.
People getting kicked off planes for 3-year-olds that don't want to wear a mask. Everyone else is. What is the difference? Hey, you know what? They're a private company. They can do what they want to do. I won't go into that debate, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to go into the debate
do
of
what you
private
want,
companies
right.
and stuff, what they're going to do, because that's just a whole
but-
nother thing.
but-
I'm talking about, so my major concern with the whole reason bringing this up, other than is, these kids are our future.
Yeah.
How mentally jacked up are they going to be because they just don't get it and nobody's helping them to deal through it. A lot of people are good at hiding their issues. I just saw a thing the other day. I forget what, it was by Robin Williams. It was basically, just because I look happy on the outside doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I'm going through was basically the quote.
Right,
you
in
know?
hiding. And Don says 75 to 80% of communication is nonverbal, expression, tone, etc. Most of this is lost with masks, and that is very true. I mean, I've found that with masks, you almost have to animate your body more in communication because
Right.
people cannot see the expression on your face.
Right.
And now, over the course of the summer getting together with people, there are people that I didn't recognize and people who did not recognize me because they had never seen me without a freaking mask.
Right. Well,
and that was kind of weird.
that's a small issue for me, at least with the kids, but it's
Well, and here, where does it stop? As Shayna says, in an attempt to protect the kids, my son's school implemented, listen to this, folks, and don't fall down, a no running rule at recess.
what? Come on.
How do you not
Shayna, can you
run
tell
at
what school
recess?
do they go to? I mean, if anything else,
kids are
so
kept like
they're
veal
having-
and told
they're-
what
right.
to do nonstop.
anxiety is
affect
caused
mental
by
health.
this
Yeah.
for these kids, and you know what? One of the most best.
I mean,
Yeah.
grades, we were running around playing kickball.
That was to get you. That was to get all your
So-
piss and vinegar out of. So when you
Yeah.
got back in class, you paid attention. And exercise is one of the number one ways to stave off anxiety.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so them not to do that. That's just why. What's the reasoning? Because they're breathing too much carbon dioxide. Because they're running. Why
Yeah.
do they have to have a mask on outside?
Could
There
be.
is 0% chance of getting it
Could be.
outside. I mean, I'm not a doctor, please,
Huntley.
folks. So understand
Huntley
that.
School District.
But it just.
Um,
It doesn't. It makes zero sense, and all you're going to do is mentally jack with these kids, and they're our future.
Technically speaking, though, if you talk to, and this is just me, so you're getting this third person.
Yeah.
Talk to a few actual virologists, people who study viruses. That's their profession. They are doctors who are virologists. They study viruses. You have a better chance actually of catching a virus outside that has come out of someone and has caught onto the air current and being drifted along and then landing on you. You'll never know. This person could have coughed 3 blocks down.
It's only 6 feet.
And yeah, right.
The viruses for 6 feet, or it doesn't bother you until after 2 hours.
No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Well, we don't say that on this show, Ken.
A virus,
because midgets are funny.
it's microscopic. It doesn't go plunk to the ground,
right?
And it comes out your mouth. So, and again, this is just me and 2 people that I've talked to. And also, hello, if you're going to mask up, you should be covering your eyes and your ears as well, because all it needs is a hole, and your eyes are nothing but holes, and your eyes are hugely liquid.
You better be careful. You might be opening up a can of worms there, Pete. They might start making the kids wear full face masks.
Jim says 800,000 people cannot see your face right now, yet your points are being heard and understood. Yes. Now, listen to this, though. Those 800,000 people, they've got an idea of what Pete looks like in their own head. They've got an idea of what Scott looks like in their own head. You ever go and meet somebody and go, holy shit, they don't look anything like I thought they sounded.
Anything like what they
all the
thought.
time.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a psychological piece now that you got to go, wait.
Right, but
no.
also when you're listening to when you're listening to the
Right.
radio, that's your expectation of you don't know what that person looks like. And you're using the inflection of their voice to understand it. But being around people all day long in a learning environment, not being able to see.
Right. It's not about not being heard and understood. It's about how we interact with people and reading their face. So when I'm like, Scott, you're the biggest dickhead in the world.
Thank you.
And he can see that I'm either pissed at him,
right,
or that I'm smiling at him,
joking.
and he knows that I'm
right.
I'm
But just
kidding,
through
right?
your eyes, I can't tell.
He's not, folks. He's the second largest. Pete would be the largest.
Yes, but you can't really see that in your eyes when you're talking to somebody, and for me, it's not so much just about the inflection. Really, it's just about the.
Yeah, right. You do. Pete does sound like he'd look like Wilford Brimley.
With the long mustache,
big
with
walrus
long hair.
mustache.
Well, he did have long hair till a couple weeks ago.
Well, it was shaggy. It wasn't like it's been in the past, but and I had actually one lady who was visibly disappointed in how I looked, and it was kind of funny because she was expecting someone probably about another, almost 6-7 inches taller than I am, and she was expecting a mountain of a man, not a snowman of a man.
Oh God, don't be so hard on yourself, Pete.
But that's what she was expecting.
Yeah.
No, that's what she told me. You're not at all what I pictured.
That's 9 times out of 10 what it is.
Sorry to disappoint, but hey, this is who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, and my kids have ideas of what their teachers and friends look like. But no, and they spend time with them.
Right. It's not about knowing what they look like behind that mask. It's the psychological effect that you're having that you could be, in my mind too, is, that there is a silent killer that this little piece of cloth is going to stop.
So here's the deal. Face masks obscure. Now listen to this. It's called facial masculature. Facial masculature. People use to communicate emotional information, right? So it's it's obscuring that. That's part of that communication piece. Now we're stripping that away. Right. And and that's the problem. So children will likely have problems with emotional recognition and social interaction as they get older. If we continue to mask, right? If we continue to mask. Now, listen, I'm all for everybody being safe and healthy. I'm not saying don't wear masks.
Right.
I'm saying we have looked at the health issues of it. We haven't looked at the psychological.
Right. We looked at the physical health, not the mental health.
About.
And the mental health is the biggest problem we have in our world right now.
Yeah.
And that's my reasoning. And that's the whole reason we started talking about it yesterday was the mental health. These kids are our future. These are the ones that are going to be brought up. They're the ones that are going to start the new normal, if you will. Right. Yeah. So, and it's going to continue to change and, grow, I guess you will, as a movement down the way, because they don't know any differently, and we're doing the kids a disservice. I feel that not having something that's like this year's throwing in a class that is, based on brain and thought and
I don't. Don asked, his Facebook user arguing that wearing masks has no psychological impact on children. No. I don't think that's what he's saying.
No, he provides it.
I'll let Tim answer for himself. But what he's saying is, his kids are dealing with it, right? So it wasn't the masks were the issue where the issues rose, but the inability to attend school and social activities, at least for his kids. Right. No. And I get that. And what I want people to stop doing is thinking about this minute.
Right.
This day, this next week when your kids go back to school. Right. I want you to think 5 years from now.
Right.
Because for the last 5 years, they've had to wear masks to stay safe and healthy. That's okay. They will struggle with speech recognition. And since so much, as Don had said, so much of our speech is communicated visually, as Scott has said as well. They call it the dumbing down of people. This is again a way of doing that, right? So that's what I want you to look at. Not right now. Kids can adapt. Kids bounce. Kids adapt to everything. Listen, you got to come with me to this meeting and sit here, and they do that. Because they can adapt. They're very adaptable. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is we're not looking 6, 8, 10 years from now.
Right.
When all of a sudden we have more suicidal people because now the masks are gone and I don't know how to communicate with you because this weird look on your face now that I've never known before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would go necessarily not understanding the look on your face. For me, it's
go ahead.
I mean, I get what, and that's part of it, as not being able to see the facial expressions to understand what's going on. It's just for me like almost a claustrophobic type of thing. As far as the oxygen and stuff like that, we have a comment here and it makes sense, but it's not. It's one of those things that it's just these kids, you can see it in their eyes. They're scared. Yeah. They don't understand. It is so unnatural. I don't even see that there. It's a word I want to use. It's more unnatural than unnormal. And nobody's talking to these kids about it, or very few are talking to these kids about it. And so where are they going to go?
So go ahead. Read.
So, all right. So we got a comment that says, this might help you in understanding and communications regarding mask usage and their effect on our health. Medical experts have proven in several studies that masks will not drop your oxygen to dangerous brain-damaging levels, nor will they cause a flooding of carbon dioxide. If this were the case, surgeons would not be able to operate for 12-plus hours straight without collapsing on the floor. You can easily confirm this for yourself at home if you own a pulse oximeter.
All right. So, great point. However, those surgeons who are doing 12 or 13, 15, 20-hour surgeries aren't doing it for 12 hours every day. Every day. Right? 5 days a week. They're not. They'll have a surgery today, and then they'll have a surgery next week, or maybe 2 in a week or whatever. Surgeons aren't 12-plus hours a day with that mask on. Now, the other thing that I will throw out there is that those are surgical masks. Okay, they're not cloth masks that grandma made, right? Surgical masks are designed for that. Okay, it's not. Well, Granny was out sewing with some old curtains, and here's your mask,
right?
And that's what a lot of kids are at school with, right?
Well, yeah, some of these masks that these people and these kids are wearing are super dense. You watch them and they're breathing, and the cloth is going in and out and in and out. I mean, it's restrictive.
Don says, per your comments in the future, D, look how easily some get triggered now. Imagine the future you just spoke of and how much more triggering will be happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's the future. It's not right here this minute,
Right. Now, again, again, we're not talking about the physical health. We're talking about the
mental health, right?
Mental health, and it's so hard to kind of wrap your head around. That's where we're getting all these people. Now, I'm not saying that you are hyperventilating,
right? But that's probably why they don't want them to run. If you think about that one, we don't want you to hyperventilate and fall down and hurt yourself, because then your parents will come sue us.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't know the reasoning behind it. That's just my thought, because that makes zero sense. You would want the kids to go out and exercise and run off their steam so they can get back in and get interested in learning about what they're doing.
Cloth masks, the ones from Hanes that are like somebody's underwear cut out over your face. I think, Pete, you said it a few weeks ago. It's the equivalent of trying to stop mosquitoes to come into your backyard by using a chain link fence.
Yeah, using a 4-foot chain link.
Right.
Oh, no, we have mosquitoes. Let's put up a 4-foot chain link fence.
Right. Yeah.
It's about that effective.
Right. That's because you're finally down there in the land of the free, Texas. That's why you're agreeing with me, right?
That's because they're good.
It's probably because you've had your mask on too long.
Good morning, Lisa. How you doing?
Good morning.
So I mean, my thing when we were talking about
fart science,
right?
I just my big thing is what are we doing to address it? We're doing
Correct.
so many things to address
other
things that really aren't lifelong. Aren't going to have lifelong consequences, and I feel that this is going to have lifelong. Yes, mental, yes.
Right, and
I think this is because a lot of parents don't talk to their kids just about general things in life.
Looking forward to some cowboy candy and the liquid gold, brother.
So they don't talk about just regular stuff in life. How about this? I mean, granted, this is new for everyone to deal with, but I mean, this is where parents actually should be getting some type of, life coaching.
And people, I want you to understand something too. We're not talking about kids rocking in the corner, drooling on themselves, mental.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's catastrophic mental collapse.
Correct. We're talking about social interaction now, because I haven't been able to read faces, which is so much of communication. Right. How frustrated, and let's take the mask away. How frustrated do you get when you're talking to your kid and they're looking at their phone texting? Put that thing down. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
What do you mean frustrated? That's the root. I was just going to actually bring that up. These kids, I mean, a lot of these kids today, because of texting, don't have a lot of, facial interaction other than like if they're doing that Snapchat or whatever, where they can send pictures. But when you're in front of somebody, or you're in a place, like you say, for 10, 12 hours a day trying to learn, and all you're looking out into a sea of masked people, and just terror in a lot of their eyes. Some of these kids, you see them, it's just look at their eyes.
To your point, right now, to your eyes, a Facebook user, Tim, I'm guessing, says when someone is upset or confused, scared, happy, etc., do you see it in their mouth or their eyes? It's not your mouth that wears your feelings.
Ooh, it is. You see it in all the muscles.
You see it in all you see it in your
right.
whole facial structure. Eyes don't actually tell you that much.
Oh, unless you're stoned off your rocker.
Yeah. If you only look at eyes, there is not enough muscular around the eyes other than opening and closing, squinting.
Well, and you have dilated your pupils are either dilated.
Everything.
Right. So,
but it's your entire facial muscular system that carries that's how we transfer visual emotions. It's how we visually emote. The rest of the body will go along with a lot of that. Lisa says, people also do not realize the implication of physical connection and touch, not sex, but a hug or handshake or pat on the back, especially during emotional struggles. I will give someone a pat on the back if they're emotionally struggling. It's about the extent of it. The damage of withdrawal of connection during emotional struggle is lifelong.
Listen. My wife has made me wear a mask having sex for years. I mean, it's been a Brad Pitt mask.
Have a zipper on it or something?
See, that mask, she was trying to get you to breathe a lot of carbon dioxide and pass out.
That's right.
Because she wanted that to get off. That's right. Stop messing with her.
Tim says not eyeballs, Pete, or Facebook. You know what I mean.
No, we understand what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying. But when you eliminate...
But I'll say this, too, is your cheeks. Now, the mask comes up over your face. You can't see your cheeks go up when you're smiling. Your eyes can shine. Yes, they can. Absolutely. But if I don't see those cheek muscles move, if it's hiding that,
You
then
could
I'm
just
like,
be squinting against the
Right.
sun.
I mean,
You
I
don't
can.
know.
I heard kids who were getting their diplomas on the walk through the stage, who hated the guy handing them the diploma, and under their mask are like, "Thanks, dickhead." You know what I mean? You're an idiot. They're mouthing it out. Well,
Right.
you don't got the mask on, you can't do that.
Right.
Well,
Well, here's another avenue that kind of, for me, how I always go is, all right, so think about these kids. They went out, they got the shot, right? So they are going to be protected and not spread this thing. And now they have to wear a mask. Now they get it all done. They put something in their arm that has not been fully vetted and fully proven not to mess you up, right? And now they got to go back. Oh, wait, you got this. You risked, you're putting certain risks in front of you, and now you're going to put a mask back on. Well, why did I do it?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm asking because I listen and I hear so many different things about, it's good for this, or it's only effective for this amount of time. And then they say something different. I mean, they don't know. And that's the biggest problem for me, and now they're throwing these kids and they don't know what they're going to do to these kids long term.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest things. If you look at all the statistics as far as what's going on, mental health right now is just the biggest thing that we are dealing with as a society.
It's true.
And that the ripple effect all the way back into every way, shape, or form of our lives from mental health.
Yeah.
It seeps into everything.
Yeah, and that's very true. Very true. And again, Tim, I am being facetious to a point, Facebook user Tim. I keep saying Facebook user because I'm not absolutely certain this is Tim, but I'm guessing it's Tim. And Lisa says, I'm saying imposing the fear of touching someone. Because even now, whilst that's the one thing I have completely enjoyed about this whole pandemic thing is I don't have to stave off the huggers. Huggers are staying well away from me. Yay, hooray. It's fabulous. I don't mind shaking hands. I'm fine with that. But even now, when you go to shake someone's hand, you're like, are they going to be okay with this? And then some people throw you an elbow or, whatever, which I mean, okay. But it's weird when, shaking someone's hand is such a common exchange, especially in a business setting.
Well, right. For me, it's rude if I don't shake someone's hand.
And that's
a sign of respect for me.
Respect, and
right.
And now it's like Lisa says: should I be shaking this person's hand? Should I not be shaking this person's hand? And I've always carried hand sanitizer on my keychain, like for freaking ever since I was so thrilled when Purell came out. Yeah.
Jerkins? Jerkins?
Yeah, not any jerkins, but
quick tissue and a hand. Never mind.
Anyway,
talk about facial.
Right. And so, the thing, like I said, the big thing for me is that it's going to creep into every aspect of our lives a lot faster than people think. And that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm not saying, I don't want to say that they're wrong to say, let's put these masks on, but are they really looking at the implications, and are they making specific.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Tim.
Oh, I was just gonna say it. But are they thinking about this long term down
Tim
the way?
Is freaking hilarious.
A lot of things our governments are great on is they act and they do something now and we screwed up. We'll fix that later. Are they really actually thinking into it? Don, he's actually a good one. He said, "Who else would you trust that changed their story as many times as the health professionals have during the last 18 months?"
Listen.
They're learning, so I can't. I can't throw them under the bus. Right. They are learning every day, right? But they have to think about
science.
That's called science, right? And I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But at the same token,
method.
One day they say masks are good. The next day they say they're bad. Then the next day they say they're good. Right. They're waffling. They're almost like a politician right now. Is how I feel the CDC and all those guys are being.
Here's what I love about good conservative people. They always bring this up. You're way more likely to die in a car. Oh, God, please. Can we put that in the back seat? And Trump's running in 2024. Hell, the chief. Let's go. Why? Seriously, what the freak? Okay. Anyway.
Of course you're
more likely to die when you wake up. There you go. Every day. You could slip in the tub. You could fart wrong, whatever.
Right.
Every day you're more likely to die of something. And you will die of something. Get over the car issue.
Right.
Well, why guns are good. More people die from car accidents than gunshot. Okay, we know that. Shut up. All right, going back to this, right? Here's what I'll say is a good friend of mine, Eva Chen, who is a developmental psychologist and associate professor over at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Eva and I are good friends. Studies children's cognitive development. Said being covered for a few hours every day isn't going to make them less able to recognize social expressions. Your kids, right? As Chen explained, children focus on much more than just individuals' mouth. They also pay attention to voices, gestures, body language. In fact, a 2012 study found children could recognize facial emotions equally well, whether or not a person was wearing a face mask. Moreover, there's no evidence that children raised in a culture where mask wearing is fairly common, such as Hong Kong, fare any worse than other children recognizing faces or emotions. Jen said.
Well, there
Jen
you go.
said. That's it. All right.
Now,
then
Eva's
game's over.
Eva's
World's
a good
perfect.
friend, right? Yeah, we don't do
Game's
politics
over.
here. I mean, I'm just saying. So
Well,
now, but at the same time, how long has that been studied? I don't know. I don't.
and why were they studying
I
it
didn't
in
research the
2012?
Hong Kong school districts and
Right.
see if they wear masks every day before the pandemic or whatever. Right? I don't know. But the bottom line is, if we're not thinking about and addressing our children's the psychological effect. Now, the one thing I do know about Tim is an incredible father. He's an incredible husband, and he takes time to talk and teach and spend time with his kids. You do as well, Pete. I know that's the way you raise your kids. That's the way I raise mine.
That's not your typical family.
But
though.
there's a lot of people out there who don't.
Right.
Mom and dad are working. Dad works second shift. Mom works first. They don't see each other together. They don't have time. I'm running you here, there, this, that, and I got to get the other girl over.
And
here,
then when
this,
you are
that.
together, last thing the kids are going to say, "Hey, Dad, you know what? I'm really freaked
Correct.
out right now because of what's going on with this." No, they don't want to say that. Dad asks, "How was your day? What'd you do?" And the surface conversations that most people have, not the deep conversations that need to happen. And that's the main reason, really, for bringing up this entire topic today, is who's addressing that.
Yeah,
our schools aren't. Right. And they're the ones that have our kids all day long, most of their time. Right. So they're the ones that are going to have either the best or the worst impact on them.
Yeah.
So what are we doing to react to what we're saying these kids have to do? We're saying you have to do this, right? So the kids can't do anything about it. Their hands are tied. But as a school system, how do they react to that? Well, this is what we're going to do to help
Let's go back to when seatbelts here in America were now the law. Okay, let's go back to that.
Well,
Did you talk to your old man like, this is bullshit? I don't wear a goddamn seatbelt.
I'm sure I probably did. I'm sure I probably did because I was very open with him.
I remember those conversations.
Right.
Like, this is so stupid. I got to put this thing on now.
Right. It's a pain in the ass.
Jeez, it's a pain in the ass. And then Ford came out with the automatic seatbelt, but you didn't have to put the lap belt on because you're like, okay, it's just up on the door. Remember that?
Yeah, I had one of those. Yeah, the old probes. Yeah, I had that.
Right?
Knock your head
you're
off.
like, hey, there you go. But you wouldn't put the lap belt on, but now you can't get into your car without just automatically putting it on.
It's become second nature for everybody.
But you talked about it. And that's what we're saying is with these kids, we got to be able to, we have to be able to talk about it. You have to take time to talk to your kids like, okay, are you comfortable during the day with that particular mask? Is this the right mask for you? Middle school kids now are getting maskne or whatever, right? Acne all over where their mask rubs. Well, hey, maybe we should clean those more than once a week. It's like your mask is like your underwear. Now you got to change that, wash that.
Right. And how many people are doing that?
Very few.
Because I know I was horrible
keep it in
with
my
that.
backpack all week.
Right. I know I was horrible with that, keeping it clean, just simple hygiene on that one.
Right.
So
are we talking with our kids, and what are we setting our kids up with? Another good friend of mine over at the Dr. Class over at Duke University said, with mask wearing now being required in most school settings, children and adults should start practicing being more explicitly verbal by stating their emotions out loud.
Instead of showing,
I'm pissed.
Yeah, I'm pissed. Yeah, right. Well, the inflection of your voice, it's going to show that. Well, hey, another.
You enjoy that emotion right over there in your corner,
right?
Well, I'm so happy.
You should always have that inflection in your voice anyway.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't think that
Are we going to be
are missing
in a situation though, you're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the. Let's say this lasts that long. I have a hard time imagining that this is really going to become a norm because it's just such a political issue versus a health issue. But suppose this does become the norm. Are we going to wind up living in a society then that has become something of a non-emotional culture? Here in the U.S., we're not really over emotive. We guard our feelings. We guard our emotions very, very much.
Yeah.
Are we going to then find ourselves 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now where we are ridiculously over emotive just so people understand? Because I can't show you my face. I now must tell you. I'm walking into the little coffee. I'm so happy to be here. I'm enjoying my mocha macchiato super caramel latte sundae, whatever it is. To me, that sounds like
would bother you.
It would. I would.
That would bother you.
It would. So
shut the hell up.
Yes, I would be so. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
Now,
it would bother me immensely.
Now, my good friend Dr. Class over there at Duke University, she did say parents and teachers may also want to ask children more often what they're feeling as well.
Right, and that's really this whole show for me is all about, guys. It's not efficacy of the mask. It's not the shot, the efficacy of the shot. It's what are we doing to deal with our situation that we have in front of us right now? Are you talking to these kids?
Yeah.
Because, I know as a child, I don't think I really came to my parents very often and said, hey, this is what I got going on. They would sense it, and because my parents were awesome, they would sense something was going on and ask me. But I don't ever remember just coming home and sharing right away because you're afraid.
Being a Cancer Leo cusp, I was never afraid to share my emotions. Still not. People, I wear them on my sleeve. People are like, oh, you're having a bad day.
And that's not a bad thing, right? And from the most part, from the outside, you feel like, I think you got your mental status in fairly decent check.
Thanks, Sally. And Sally Giles, thanks for joining us.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And Sally says, hey, just gave the best argument for raising teachers' salaries. That's not even an issue for me. I think they're underpaid. They're the most valuable thing out there for us.
The good one is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the good ones, right?
Yeah.
The ones that just don't worry about numbers. The good ones, right? And because they are shaping our kids for our future. And if they're not being shaped and dealt with in a proper manner in school, we as a society are screwed.
Yeah. So Shayna says, this convo is normalizing this. What can we do to help kids with the mask is what it is. But fast forward a little, what's it look like? Right. And I think that's it. You have to talk, man.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Future.
My kids will tell you, the most important part of my day is always the dinner table, right? Because we still eat together as a family.
That's awesome.
Now it's shrunk over the years from 6 down to 4 now, and pretty soon will be 3. But every day I would say, hey, how was your day?
Right.
And no phones, anything at the table. And the kids would say, good. I go, what made it good? Don't just tell me good. What made it good? And then there were times, too, when I would come in and go, hey, Pete, had an interesting conversation with your teacher. You want to tell me about that? And they go, oh, shit. I had no idea. I didn't have a conversation with your teacher.
Just open up them can of worms.
What are you talking about? I think you know what I'm talking about.
Laying the trap.
Right.
But sit here, and that's the thing. You are one of the good parents. There's a lot of parents out there these days that are single parents that don't have the time to deal with talking to these kids, right? Yeah. So what are we doing at school? Yeah. I don't hear them talking about, fine, we're going to make you do this, but we're going to offer this or help you out with that because we're making you do this, right? So let's make you understand it.
And I think,
or help you understand.
they go over a little bit of psychology as they're talking about the changing body and hormones, right? But they don't really. I think, and I
that's
agree
the
with Scott,
opportune
is
time.
we've got to start placing psychology classes into the lower levels so that they start understanding and can start thinking through things.
And the kids will actually love, and they'll want to pay attention once they start realizing, oh, wow, this makes sense. Wait, I thought that was only me. That's why I had that thought.
Well, and
that's why I went through this. It makes them feel no more, more, the word more normal.
Well, I think that's kind of what helped, my parents having me tested for certain psychological issues kind of helped me at an early age be more observant of, okay, why
you're more cognizant of what's going
why
on.
do I think this? Why am I acting this way? Not so much in a very, very aware stage as I am now in my 50s, but even at a young age, being able to go, okay, I'm doing this. Why am I doing it? Oh, I'm feeling this. Why am I feeling it? A very basic level. But I think had that not happened, I probably wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today, being able to be objective with situations that come in front of me and deciding how I want to act. Are my actions and feelings serving the situation? Are they serving me in a good way?
Yeah.
But
and
so I think
not just doing it by the seat of your pants.
If we could, if we could introduce people and children to helping them understand how it is they think and why it is they think and feel the way they feel
100%
in certain situations or to
Derek earlier said we need to teach what did he say way up there? Derek said something about we need to teach de-escalation or something like that. Or
for me, I mean,
it was early.
Just straight up is if you're not teaching your kid mental health, everything else will fail. As a general rule of thumb.
Right.
I mean, it just all, shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
If you're not mentally healthy, you're not going to take care of yourself as a general rule. You're not going to probably take care of other people. I mean, it's just, there's always an argument against it, but mental health for me is one of the biggest things that we lack of in our society. In schools, home, because nobody's been taught, and the kids, it's just getting worse and worse and worse, especially with this generation coming up with nothing, staring at a phone. There's social interaction. Social interaction is huge.
Now, I'll say they're more social than we ever were.
Actual physical. They actually are social. They're talking a lot more on the phone. They're sharing a lot more things than they probably should be.
They're more social because, we used to run in our pack, right? It was you.
Right,
and, it was me. It was Kent Timmerman. It was Doug Hoffman. It was Dave. It was the same 4 or 5 guys.
I had 4 of us,
Here, they're Snapchatting with 350 people.
Right.
And none of them are close relationships that they can actually go deep with. So, I mean, I ran with a pack of 4 guys back in my day, too. And I still talk to them. They're all good people in their own right. They're also all screwed up people in their own right? But we actually did share shit with each other, other than dreaming and smack talk. But you actually, from sometimes would.
They do that.
And that's, I think, what kept us together as a group, because we did talk about that weird shit that we didn't probably even realize at this day and age that we were going deeper back then, talking about things.
I mean, I get calls from...
But the kids don't have those relationships today, as far as I can tell. I mean, my kids are grown now, but everything I see, and like you just made, they're doing Snapchat with 300 people. Are they actually talking to that person about, maybe their physical changes they've had during, puberty or whatever?
Because I know while my kids are involved in the Snapchats and, all that kind of stuff, I am aware that each one, Cody, Luke, Lex, each one of them has a core group of friends. And many of those friends have been in their core group since they were in early grade school. And I mean, Cody is still friends with a fellow that he and this kid were the brand new kids in class in 5th grade. And because that's when we moved to Richmond, and teacher put the 2 of them together because they were both brand new, just moved in. And that was probably one of the absolute best moves
together.
Best moves that she could have done. And those guys are still fast friends today. So, I don't know. I think it depends on the kids, the individuals, how you as parents teach them to interact.
Well, it's how you teach them to act right, and it's how you teach them what you were taught. if you were taught. And that's what I'm getting at. A lot of these kids growing up today, their parents weren't taught.
Sure.
The 20 and 30 somethings, their parents didn't have those conversations. They didn't have the mental, the classes early enough.
Well,
I feel
now kids grow up knowing, we grew up knowing people like Ward Cleaver and Mr. Cunningham. Those were father figures, right?
Those were
my three dads.
TV
well, that's
father figure.
misogynistic.
Sons,
Some of those, though, in a way,
my
but
three
right.
dads. That's today.
Oh,
my three dads today, right?
But today, kids grow up with Peter Griffin and Homer Simpson and dads who are not the most brilliant individuals. That's what
painted
they're
dads as absolute freaking morons.
Right. So
Some are, and that's part of some are, and part of
the
the reason that's where we're at right now.
Right.
And that's if there's anything you got that I want everyone to take out of this entire podcast tonight for me, is I'm just worried about the future of these kids. Not that masks are effective or not that your reading facial expression is going to give me a better visit with you or not, or if I'm going to understand things better. I'm just saying these kids inside need to talk.
Yeah.
I don't think they have anywhere near the amount of resources they need to feel comfortable to talk about it, and so they're going to suffer inside.
Yeah.
Not saying, and then the mental. Once that happens, it all flows downhill.
I like what Tim has to say. Are our kids subconsciously already being subjected to a form of psychology by attending school and having their thoughts and education molded by a curriculum?
Well, yes,
Would
absolutely.
adding another more specific form of psychology really be beneficial, or just another form of pre-development curriculum brain molding? Just asking. In psychology, taught at more advanced development stage in life due to this. Could be. And
so you have to explore a lot of facets of psychology to get a broad picture. Because if you only focus on one form or one thought of psychological philosophy, that's all you get.
And when he says broad picture, for everybody listening, he doesn't mean Farrah Fawcett.
Right. Yeah. The broad.
I forgot about her.
The broad picture.
Oh, how you forget about
everybody?
Her.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, you can't forget about it. But no, he's right. I mean, but part of the curriculum in school is molding, not just teaching. We should be teaching our kids in school how to learn, to actually have a desire, or
Tim, I absolutely love you. Thanks for stirring that pot. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Smooth it right.
Having the kids to have some
I wish
type of
Tim
desire
were
to
in
want to
here.
learn new things.
He doesn't come in as often as he should.
But listen, here's and we're running out on the back end here. But here's what I want to tell people about Dr. Class, my good friend again over at Duke University. Says kids are very, very adaptive, more adaptive than we are. They learn very quickly. She says, I don't think parents should be too worried. So here's the deal that I would tell.
I've heard that.
I think here's the deal.
Kids are adaptive. I mean, you have to be adaptive. If you're not adaptive, you're dead.
Right, but I think what you and I are trying to say today is maybe it's the parents who has to change. Change the way you're parenting. Change the way you're communicating with your kids. Tell your kids it's okay to be verbal about how they feel.
Oh, 100%.
Don't hide it. Don't swallow it. Don't push it down. Right?
Yeah, don't drink battery acid.
Be more understanding about what your kids are going through, and don't think that there aren't issues that are going on.
Right. And open up those channels of communication.
As a hashtag girls dad, being a middle school girl is a tough thing to do. There's a lot of shit going on in you, chemically, mentally,
and the other kids,
too.
Throwing
right?
it out, right.
So you have to be willing to talk to your kids and ask them the tough questions, and don't let them get by just by saying, "Oh, it's all right, I'm fine." Right? Why?
Yeah, expound upon
Why
that.
do you think you're fine?
Right, right. And that's I actually lacked at that in a lot of respects too. So
so we're on the back end of it. You can wrap it up, brother.
Well, hey guys, like I said, always just take care of each other. Don't be afraid to have that hard conversation. Worst that can happen is they say, if they open up to you, it's the best thing in the world. Our kids are our future.
Yep.
Whatever that, I forget who did that song, but they are our future. Go
Whitney
out there, love
Houston.
one another.
Right.
Thanks for stopping in today.
Hey, come on back in a half hour for Bridging Civil Tension. Always a fun one.
21-6 the net and the grounds.
That's it. Stay blessed,
Folks, have a
everybody.
great day.